I've had a few people in my life that have really made a massive impact, and this man is definitely one of them. When I started my yoga journey, this man is the guy that took me through my first yoga teacher training, and here he is, Oliver Reinsch. How are you, bro?
Hey, Tommy. Um, I don't know. Do your listeners know your real name?
Yeah, Tony Toaster.
Tony Toaster. That
Yeah,
was Tommy's name in our training.
yeah,
Tommy Toaster and the Toastettes.
the
Um,
Toastettes. Well, that was
he was
because
given that name hmm,
yeah, go.
by my daughter,
Yeah,
who was, geez, she would have been what, I don't know, 7 or so at the time.
yeah. How old's Olivia now?
Yeah, 12.
Wow.
Yeah,
Craziness,
yeah,
man,
incredible.
crazy. Yeah, so, dude, I remember when I came to yoga teacher training. The only reason that I went, I was doing like I was practicing in Melbourne, and I had a crush on one of my yoga teachers, and I was like, she goes, why don't you go do your yoga teacher training? I'm like, nah, that's not me. And then 3 days later, I'm over there with you guys in Bali. The only reason I did it was simply just to impress her, and then I ended up and it literally changed my whole entire life. Like, doing that whole 5 weeks or whatever it was with you, man. It was just incredible.
Um, I don't know what guys are thinking. Like, they still haven't caught on that like these yoga teacher trainings, retreats, all these things, the best place to meet girls. But
Yeah.
don't become a teacher because once you become a teacher, then it's off limits.
Then it's off
It's
limits. I don't
yeah.
know. That's the worst thing. Well, that's what it was. I remember it was me, like 18 chicks, and one other dude that didn't like chicks. So I was a very lucky man.
You were very popular.
Very popular, yeah. But so what's I mean, what's sort of your journey? Because it'd be so cool to hear. Because even just seeing you, if you're listening to this on GarageBand, you can get onto YouTube and see Ollie in the flesh. But even looking at you, like you just look like you've just landed in life and you're just living the dream. It's so good to see.
Oh, it's not too bad. Um, this model I'm making, actually, the real story behind it is I don't know if you got one of these things, but the beads are so small, and
Yeah,
like my fingers it's a it's a calamity every time I try to meditate with these. But these here bottle caps
yeah.
lying around on the beach everywhere, um, they're more finger friendly. If you got like fat fingers like me, it's much easier to use these. So that's the real story.
So good. No,
Um,
but
but
dude, you know what?
anyways,
If there was an outsider looking in, they'd see you right now and go, "This guy's a full fucking tripper." But you just trip on life, and that's how does it work? How does a day in the life of Ollie work?
uh, well, I mean, you've been here, Tommy, so you know this little sea surf village here in
Yeah,
Bali. There's um there's not a lot going on in terms of nightlife and action, I guess, which is what I love because there's so much going on in terms of nature. We have a river, we have the ocean. So you get up in the morning, and there's this amazing little yoga shala right on the beach that we go and do a little bit of moving, breathing, stretching. You're looking at the surf, very distracting.
yeah,
So you probably want to get in there and do a bit of that. And eventually, around midday, you start thinking about, oh, I should probably be productive and do something. These days, that means thinking of stuff that you might be able to put online or have chats with your friends that you haven't chatted to for a long time, like we're doing right now.
yeah,
Um, but as far as doing the yoga practice, it's like, wow, it's whatever you're doing every day. So it's pretty easy to do in a place like this.
yeah.
But
But dude,
maybe everywhere now that things have slowed down.
yeah. So you know what? It'd be good to hear like where you are now and
Mhm.
what you experienced. Like you've created this life of absolute bliss. And it'd be actually cool to hear what your perception of the world outside your little bubble is at the moment.
Mm. Um, well, at the moment, I think
Yeah.
it's fantastic what's happening. Yeah, it's so incredible how things have slowed down,
Mm.
and I think we manifested this as a species. Like intuitively, we knew, whoa, this pace is too fast to be sustainable. So there's something in the background that everyone that was telling everyone this is wrong, like whoop, whoop, red flag, and it just exploded in the form of this virus that we have now. And thank goodness, because I think this is the magic pill that can save our species from like going out too quick. A little bit of slowing down, because slowing down means like what? We can't work as much, which means we can't make as much, which means we can't spend and do as much, which means we get to be a little bit more. And how fantastic is that? We get to be more human beings, and slow down and enjoy ourselves and each other in this amazing place.
Yeah.
So thank goodness for this predicament. This predicament is, I think, is exactly what we needed.
Yeah, yeah, and because you're a dude, right? You've got a dick between your legs. You're a dude, and
Yep,
I'm just checking.
still there. Yeah, still there.
Love it, and so because you would have got into this whole mindfulness thing and yoga and all that, obviously before any of this craziness was happening in the world. But when you started on your journey, yoga wasn't even really known to be anything back then, let alone for dudes. It was just like, how did you start this whole journey?
Yeah, a bit reluctantly, actually.
Yeah,
It came knocking at my door a few times in the form of girlfriends taking me to yoga classes. Again, like you said, it wasn't really well known. It was like maybe one obscure studio in the neighborhood, and I'd get taken to one of these classes, go in there and humor her, and afterwards be like, right, that's strange. That's not for me. No, thank you. Um, but it just kept on coming into my face, and then finally, I didn't. Basically, I embraced it finally when I asked for it instead of somebody shoving it into my face. When I was in Hawaii, actually.
yeah,
Um, uh, Body surfing, enjoying the place. And when I came in from the surf, there's a guy on the beach doing some funny like sand wriggling dance. And he's like, dude, can you teach me how to ride the waves without a surfboard, just your body? I was like, sure, like, let's do a trade. Teach me your funny sand dance. And turns out he was doing sun salutations.
yeah,
And again, it stuck simply because I think I asked for it instead of somebody telling me to do it.
yeah,
Um, I've always not done well with authority, so it's like, okay, now I want to do it, and I stuck with this routine he showed me. Eventually, found my way into a classroom. Um, Again, I had no money. I'm a student at this time, so I had been taking classes long enough that they asked if I'd want to assisted classes to get classes for free. So that's how I was able to fund my habit, this yoga habit, which I think like a lot of people, you take a yoga class and it's something happens, you feel something, you don't know what I couldn't put my tongue on it, but it was like, whoa, that was different. There's something magical happening here. And I couldn't explain it, but I knew I wanted more. So just stuck with it. And eventually, people at the front desk are like, you should take a teacher training. I'm like, why? I don't want to teach this stuff. I just want to take it. It feels good. I'm like, yeah, you don't have to teach. You seem interested, you go deeper. Oh, that sounds good. I'll go deeper. And like, you take a teacher training, and then next thing you know, the people like are asking you, what you're up to. Can this help my back? That looks strange. Again, still yoga is not really popular at this time. So you teach friends, you teach family, you teach at the local YMCA so you can use the pool. And it just kind of happened organically. And then I left all that and went to Japan, again, following the surf.
yeah,
But the same thing happened there. I kept up with my routine because it was still feeling magical to me. And people would come around like, what's that? They had no idea I'm on this rural island in Japan. It's fishermen, farmers, like, what the heck is this stuff? They never heard of yoga. But being the only kind of Western white dude around, whatever you do is kind of weird and exotic. But they come around and say, hey, what's that stuff? Can we join you? Sure, why not? And they tell their friends, and their bodies started to feel a little bit better, and their minds started to slow down. And soon this thing just grew organically until one day there was some program on Japanese national television with some Japanese scientists that came up and said that yoga was proven to help women lose weight. All of a sudden, class size tripled.
Yeah, love it.
And this isn't a country where there's nobody's overweight. You get all these skinny women, and they're like, "Can this help me lose weight?" And, I said, "Probably not. You're probably better off running or doing something else." But again, they got a taste. Something magical happened, and that kept them coming. And soon they were coming just for the effects that had on their lives, and not so much on their physical body, although that changed as well. So for me, it was something that just kind of, wow. I guess it found me. It kept chasing me, and then it's like I kind of eventually just let it in. And it's been constantly evolving. My idea of what yoga is and what yoga can be, and it keeps going like this. It expands. From the idea, it's got to be on a mat in a studio with some incense and nice music and soft voices, to wow, it looks like having a kid and a wife and a crisis and a traffic jam, which is kind of cool, which means you can do this stuff everywhere, bring it out into your life.
And did you always have a plan to I guess live in a place like where you're living now? Like what? Because if you're actually watching this on YouTube, if you look at where Ollie is, it's pretty much paradise, and that's your fucking life, dude.
So I guess the plan really solidified. I was probably in high school, and some friends of my folks were over asking me, hey, how's life? What you doing? It's like, oh yeah, I'm in school. Yeah, whatever. I'm a student. I sometimes I go to class, sometimes I go to the beach, and they looked at me in the eye and quite seriously said, well, enjoy your life now, buddy, because when you get to be our age, you're gonna have to work. You're not gonna have any time to fool around at the beach. And that was the greatest motivational speech anyone ever gave me, because it was at that point I decided, right, if that's what it means to grow up and be an adult, I'm never going to do it. Instead, I'm just going to do what I enjoy and feels good. And so that's basically when the seeds were planted from that little motivational pep talk of like, an adult means like you're not going to have fun anymore. So I went the other way. It's like, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes to pursue what brings joy to me in my life. And what's cool, I didn't realize it at the time, because for me at that time, it's just selfish like hedonistic desires. But what you find out is if you're enjoying yourself, it kind of like it rubs off on other people.
It does. It ripples.
Yeah, nobody wants to have a sourpuss around.
Nah.
So if you're enjoying yourself, it can be something that kind of osmotes out into your community.
Yeah. And it's funny, man, because so many people talk about this whole, that concept of just follow your joy and follow your happiness. But, you've just taken it to a whole other level.
Yeah, you know what? It doesn't, there was no plan, right? It was just at this time, that looks good. Okay, go that way. That feels right.
Yeah.
And then, over time things change, and all of a sudden, whoa, you know what? That's looking really good. That feels right over there.
Yeah.
And I think if you start to get good at listen, or actually it's not even listening, it's feeling, I think. I think it's feeling that comes from like the guts.
Yeah.
And you start to get good at tuning into that. And when you follow that, or everyone has this, right? It's just a matter of trusting that.
Yeah.
And once you trust that feeling, it's like you can't go wrong.
No,
that's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I mean one of the things that I very strongly teach, like clients, and even with my yoga classes and whatever, the things that I share, because I believe in so much, is exactly that, is following this inner gut feel, this intuition. And it's funny, man, when people start actually listening to that shit, it's like their whole life takes a massive turn. But I reckon that the really messed up thing is that, as you say, everyone has this gift that they have inside to follow this inner guidance system, but they just refuse. Like they're so committed to refusing themselves that gift. Yeah, and it's and so it's really cool. Well, one, with you, you are definitely just a poster boy for just following bliss and joy, and it's just like you can even just looking at you, and I'm not pissing in your pocket or anything, but you just look at you. You got a fucking turban on. You got like sealant. It's just absolute gold, like pure authenticity. It's amazing.
Um, well, what you say, again, this idea of this gift we have of this intuition.
Yeah,
Um, I think it's so exciting because it's not something you have to go and learn. Like it's something everyone has, and all this yoga stuff we do is just a matter of remembering what we have. It's
exactly.
nothing new. We
No.
got it. In fact, it's so simple that it's something I've been doing with Olivia since she was 4.
Mm.
We talk about this in the training about asking the belly? Remember
Yes,
this?
but yeah, but
Yeah.
you go. We did, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I
So
share
talk.
this?
Yeah, go for it, man.
All right. So when my daughter was 4, she, like lots of children, after a meal, she'd say, Papa, can I have ice cream after every dinner? And it's like, wolf down all this food, and then it's ice cream. It's ice cream time. I'm like, hey, like, hold on, wait a minute. Are you even hungry? Like, you just ate a massive amount of food. You sure you want ice cream? Yes, of course, Papa. I want ice cream. Give me ice cream. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, you're saying that, but did you ask your belly? Um, and so what ask your belly has come to mean was we have to literally we ask the belly, like, hey belly, how you doing? And then we can't answer from here. We have to shut up and listen. And ask the belly question, belly, how you doing? Close your eyes, shut up, breathe, feel, and let the belly do its own talking. The belly being this place of our gut feeling, our intuition. But we don't get into that. Just ask the belly. We know what that is. And sometimes you get as detailed as, hey belly, how you doing? Are you full? Are you half empty? Are you all the way empty? You want something cold? You want something hot, sweet, sour? Ask all these questions. After every question, pause, breathe, feel and answer. Yeah, then move on. After this whole process, asking the belly all these questions, we'd arrive at 90% of the time, yes, I want ice cream.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
But 10% of the time, we go through this whole process, ask the belly, shut up, listen, feel. And then she say, 10% of the time, Papa, my belly says it's fine. It doesn't need any ice cream, which is miraculous, for
yeah.
a small child.
But you can ask the belly. You don't have to ask the belly about ice cream. You can ask the belly about anything. Yeah,
You can ask the belly, like, start small, start simple. Yeah, maybe start with, do I want ice cream? Or like, do I want the cereal, or do I want the pancakes, or do I want the fruit for breakfast? But then you can move on to the big things, like, do I stay with this job, this relationship? Yeah? Do I stay in this community? Is it time to move on? And the great thing is, all these hard decisions become easy because you don't have to make them anymore. It's when we think we have to make a decision, it's huge, it's hard. It's like, big decision, I can't make it. The wisdom is you don't have to make the decision. Instead, just throw it out there, shut up, listen, and download the wisdom that's all out here. Because then it's easy. Then we're just following what we know instead of trying to grind the gears against what we think we should do. Instead of knowing the path that's already laid out for us.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's just a matter of shutting up and listening and feeling. And so we get good at that, and then life gets easier, and then we're not in conflict with ourselves anymore.
Yeah.
As long as we're tuned in, it's whoo, the path is nice.
And that's the thing, when you can
even
trust,
when it's rocky, it's nice when it feels right.
Yeah, and you can really trust after you do it a number of times and you start trusting it. You can really that's your guidance system. If you know what I just thought of. If you, well, you know what, my belly just wanted to ask you, if you were if you were the president of the United States of America right now, what decisions would you make?
Oh wow, that'd be so cool. Ooh, I would make it mandatory for people to hug each other every day. No more of this social distancing baloney.
Yeah.
Hug each other for extended periods of time. Have to spend more time in nature. Get out of your boxes.
Yeah.
Go outside and connect with each other. Connect with nature. Because I think this is the other, realization I've come to so far. This part of my journey is that all these kernels of wisdom, all the lessons, all the stuff we learned from our teachers has all come from their teachers. Everything I know has come from my teachers. And everything they know has come from their teachers. And so on and so forth, and so on and so forth, until you get to the root source of all the lessons, of all the knowledge. And I believe that source is nature.
Yeah.
When you look at all the spiritual religious texts, you see the Buddha, you see Jesus. You don't see Muhammad because you're not supposed to make pictures with him. But you hear about Muhammad. They're all preaching on the mountain, under the tree. Like the Buddha, he was enlightened. He was born under the Bodhi tree. He was enlightened on the Bodhi tree. He died on the Bodhi tree. But that was his source of knowledge. Just like that movie Avatar, they're plugging in.
Yeah. So true.
I think that's basically what we need to do to remember who we are and what our purpose is and how to and where to find meaning and joy.
Yeah.
And simply to plug back in to what we've been just disconnected to. So as long as we're disconnected, it's like we're running around in this kind of pattern that's non-sustainable and we're a little bit lost. So I think plugging back into the source, things start to make sense and feel good and right. So I think that's what I do as a president, is just take measures to get people kind of back to nature, back to the source, so people get back into this rhythm.
Yeah.
That's going to bring balance and joy to their life.
So you know what? Let's forget about the president thing. But let's say if I'm just some random person listening to this you and me chatting, right? And they're going, yeah, well, fucking, Ollie, you can do this. You're living in these tropics of Bali. You got nature all around you. You're sitting there, looking the goods. But what does that mean for me? I'm in this city. Whether Melbourne, LA, wherever I am, I'm in this city surrounded by houses and this and that and big buildings and fear about this fucking virus and, the prime ministers and stuff saying you can't do this, you have to wear masks, all these rules, you can't leave my house, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So recently, the way I've tried to kind of make these ideas more practical is the yoga course I've been running lately have been yoga permaculture courses.
Yeah.
Permaculture is basically this idea of originally sustainable agriculture, but basically sustainable lifestyle. So how this applies to, say, somebody in the city is there are so many ways, even in an urban environment, to connect, whether it's rooftop gardens, these abandoned lots or old buildings that have been taken over by the community to get their hands dirty. They get in there, they plant, and they're catching water on the rooftop. They're making beehives. There's all these things that are going on in an urban environment that anyone can do, whether it's just simply growing some herbs in your terrace or even inside your house. These little things actually, I think, have a huge effect on us. Again, they're just little reminders of like who we are, where we come from, and something as simple as like a little communal garden in between, say, two big like apartment blocks. It's not just about like, oh, I'm getting some tomatoes for my salad. Like, ooh, that seems like a lot of work just for a tomato. But it also becomes this thing where you're connecting to the land and to the people of your community.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there. And maybe you don't have time to plant a garden. I'm too busy for that. But at the very least, what you can do in an urban environment, which a lot of people are doing, is go into things like farmers markets, because the farmers market is something that's bringing the rural, the natural environment to the urban setting. And then you have the urban people supporting this natural environment, the farmers. And when the two work together, again, I think it's this healing that's really necessary for, say, like an urban environment that I think is it's hard to live in an urban environment and keep your balance when you get into kind of these rhythms that can throw us off. Like, again, you're on a city schedule instead of a natural schedule. You're staying up later than, beyond when you're tired. You're eating when you're not hungry. You're not eating when you are hungry. All these simple things, so little simple things we can do to get back into this natural rhythm are I think, huge and easy, really. So there's so much out there. Great documentaries on how people are doing this in a city. As well as in the suburbs. But I thought it was worthwhile enough to bring this into kind of the yoga room. So, and yoga trainings, we get out, we do our thing. We roll around in the yoga studio, but then we'll go outside and we get our hands dirty. We'll make worm farms and plant some veggies, and we compost. And it's a really therapeutic thing. Even if nothing comes out of it, say you don't have a green thumb and everything you planted like dies, you still get the benefits of putting your hands into the dirt. And
it just feels good.
For a lot of people, that's enough. That's worth like 10 therapy sessions. Things just seem right when you're outside and in this natural environment. Like, oh yeah, like this is what it's like to be a human being that's charged up again.
And what about, like, because the only other thing I want to ask you about in terms of nature and I guess bringing it into your home is it's not the physical nature, but one of the things that I absolutely love about you, and one of the things that I really, that you've taught me without you even trying, has been this inner calm and this inner peace, where you really lead the way in that, I reckon, just your presence in itself. But I know you do a lot of meditation, you do a lot of breathing in your own practice and whatnot. But why do you reckon there's just so many people out there in these inner cities and in city life that are they're not against meditation, but they just have this thing of, I don't know how to sit still. Breathing, what the fuck's that? Like, I'm not doing breathing, but so my question to you is, for your normal Joe Blow, who's just where we were at the start, I guess, where we get that inkling. It's like certain things start to spark our interest, like meditation. Fuck, that looks cool, but I can't do it. Or breathing. Fuck, what's that? What's this Wim Hof stuff? Or what's pranayama? And those questions where you these little things are sparking your interest, but you're not fucking doing anything about it. You know, so what is it that would I mean, actually, first, what benefits do you see in your life and in terms of using those mindfulness practices?
Oh, geez. Where do I even start? But I was one of those guys, right?
Yeah.
Even finding this practice at an age, I was like, yeah, yoga, this is cool. My dawn, it was a very physical, fiery thing, but it was like, breathing, nah, that's boring. Meditation, I'll do my moving meditation. Yeah, I don't need to sit down and get still. That's for other people. I'll do the moving stuff. You know, I was young, fiery, had a lot of energy, so I can understand that. And especially in a city where everything's fast paced, to sit down and do nothing, like we're not used to that. We don't have attention spans to like deal with nothing. That's like, wow, that's crazy. We fill up all the nothing time with like, you know, pick up the phone. I got 2 minutes. Wow, you know, I'm gonna crush some candy. I'm gonna, you know, fill that time up. I can't deal with nothing time. So I can relate to that, but and it wasn't actually until being injured, being forced to slow down. Again, these injuries so often are these blessings, these messages that we get, that we keep getting until we finally we understand, I should be slowing down. So I got one of these messages in the form of an injury where the normally fiery yoga practice, I had to slow down. It was at that time, it's like, okay, can't move the body, so I'll try this boring breathing thing. That's when I kind of explore the breathing thing. And then my mind was blown. One of the actually reasons I got into yoga was from a very young age, struggling with respiratory problems, asthma, allergies. I was taking medication since the age of 5. Inhalers, pills, steroids. Would get asthma attacks from pollen in certain seasons, from petting cats, dogs, touching the face, you know, watery eyes, stuffy nose, runny nose, and wheezing. I can't being able to breathe. From exercise, from certain foods. So there's all these triggers that would cause me to have asthma attack and not being able to breathe. So that was another kind of thing that put me on this path, like trying to figure out how to breathe. Because if you can't breathe, it's like everything's compromised. So I messed around with my diet. I tried all different kinds of funky things, tried this yoga thing, but it wasn't until, again, being forced to slow down and trying out some of these pranayama techniques that I started to be able to breathe in a way where I wasn't freaking out. So that was huge. And the main whoa, no, I lost you.
No, I got you.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah, but you probably can hear me through. That's all right. Can you hear me through the computer?
Hey, Jenna.
Wait, can you hear me through the computer?
I lost you. Hold on. The thing just shut down.
What about in the computer?
Oh, I need help. Wait, hold on, Tommy.
That's all right.
My technical wizard is coming to help.
Just tell her. Can you hear me?
They went to low power mode, and then it blacked, and then the earphone stopped.
Hey, Jenna, can you hear me?
Oh, stop.
Oh, what? You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you.
Yeah, so you can hear me.
I think my
Yeah, that's fine. Just do it through just do it through the laptop or the phone or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can hear you fine.
All right. So tried out this pranayama thing. And I had no idea that it was going to have such a huge impact on my life. But up until that point, whenever I had some trigger, eat a food that had sulfites in it, laughing would even bring on an asthma attack. And I don't know if you're familiar with asthma attacks or if you've had friends or if you had trouble, but when you get your chest starts to tighten, it's just struggle to get a full breath.
Yeah.
And in your mind, you're thinking, okay, where's my inhaler? and you start to look around for your drug. Where's my inhaler? I need a puff. And if you don't find it right away, then there's a little panic. It's like, I can't find it. And that panic causes more tightness in the chest. Now it's even more of a struggle to get the breath. And then there's more panic and like, I gotta get it. And this downward spiral that happens. So that was kind of the process. And I started doing this pranayama, and pranayama, the breath is so cool because it's this direct link to the nervous system. So I started to do it, and I started to notice, wow, the breath helps your mind calm down like instantly.
Yeah.
This whole idea of like, if you're angry, take 3 deep breaths. It works. 3 deep breaths, you feel the difference. You calm down. So I was using mainly Ujjayi pranayama, which is that the breathing through the nose. It sounds like Darth Vader, not quite as harsh, but as a way of kind of slowing down the breath. And whenever I get an asthma attack, chest got tight. Rather than starting in that downward panic mode, which would just make things worse, you get tightness and think, okay, now it's time to do some breathing. And I'd imagine I was breathing from the belly, slow it down through the nose. And what it did was it delayed the amount of time between getting an attack and taking the drugs, just like, little bits. I try to not run to it straight away and not panic and just stay calm. And again, the breathing would help do it. Just simply slowing down the breath, slow down the mind. And then before reaching for the inhaler, I'd go to the stove and heat up a pot of water, maybe put some eucalyptus oil in there, put a towel over my head, breathe that. And just went through that process of doing breathing and still having to use the medication. But over time, doing the breath, calm the mind, slowly weaning myself off medication over about 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Completely off medication. And that's been like 15 years. So I was on this stuff for like 30 plus years of my life, all these drugs. And that was expensive too. And you freak out, go on a trip, and it's like, oh my God, I didn't pack my inhaler. And that would cause an attack.
Yeah.
So the amazing thing about the breathing, what I found, and I don't think it was that particular breathing pattern was, the answer for everyone, but it was just, again, I think any kind of conscious breathing is going to help you find some peace of mind. In any situation, it's great.
Yeah.
But that was the main thing that happened. It wasn't so much the breathing technique itself, but it was the effect it had on my nervous system, which I think all these things that were allergens before are still allergens. I think I still have, I'm allergic to cats or plants or sulfur. But I think what happened is it brought my my stress level down to the point where if I'm in contact with an allergen, it's never going to bring me beyond the level where I get symptoms.
Yeah.
It brings me up to, but because my nervous system isn't freaking out, it's like, whoa, I'll never get symptoms. Then it goes back down again. And this is pretty amazing because most conditions that people have, diseases, uncomfortable things we deal with are either brought on by stress or made worse by stress. And this breathing thing is like our biggest weapon against it.
Yeah.
All we got to do is just do some breathing.
Well,
and
that's the thing. When you actually take even just one deep breath, you realize how much more space you have in your body than what you're actually using. Like there's space, man. It's like filling up the lungs. You're like, holy shit, there's like this whole other world in there I never even knew existed.
Yeah.
Have you been getting into the Wim Hof stuff?
Oh yeah. Every morning we do some form of breathing.
Yeah.
Sometimes all kinds of stuff. But yeah I think it's big difference, and it's subtle. I think this is why some people aren't attracted to it in the beginning, because I do think you feel it straight away, like you feel the calmness, but maybe it's not as it's not as big of a hit as, like, say you go to some sweaty yoga class.
Yeah.
And you come out of there exhausted, like, wow, man, that beat me up. Breathing, it's a little more subtle, but I think what you find if you stick with it, the effects go deeper and they're more profound and longer lasting.
Yeah.
You know, like I was doing yoga for years. It had no effect on the asthma and allergies that I had. But this breathing thing, this subtle practice,
Yeah.
it's like it freed me from not being able to breathe. Not being able to breathe is not being able to live, man.
Yeah.
So it gave me a whole new life. And it also kind of allowed me to have a certain amount of calmness that gave me patience to sit down for something like meditation. So that was sort of my bridge to meditation.
Yeah.
It's this physical thing that creates space in the body, but also it also mentally creates space between you and everything you're dealing with, which is pretty amazing, because it takes you from that point of no space and reacting to something to space and time to give you a choice. And in that choice, it's, well, there's possibility.
Yeah.
So really what we're doing is when we create space, we're creating possibility. That's pretty powerful.
Very, yeah. It's next level. Next level. So what are you doing now? Like, are you still running are you still running yoga retreats, or what are you up to?
Yeah, at the moment been doing more yoga permaculture courses.
Permaculture courses, yeah. The stuff you were telling us about before.
Yeah. So kind of combine these sustainable kind of living practices and the yoga and the breathing and the meditation all into one.
Yeah.
So we take these of that we talk about in yoga and yoga philosophy, and then we put them into practice outside, and we get dirty and have a lot of fun.
Love it. And I don't know if you've seen, but I've been doing quite a bit of work with a lot of men the last sort of 6 to 12 months, and really trying to get yoga and breathing and meditation, all that type of stuff. Get it. Just let dudes have a good little taste of it. And what's been your experience in terms of men? Like not dealing with men, but working with men and teaching them yoga and the breathing and meditation and mindfulness. Have you got any sort of standouts, other than me, of course, that stand out transformations that you've seen in men or yourself or whatever? Like, what do you got around that?
Besides you, but I'd really love to tell the story about you. Can I flip the tables around?
Nah, do it. Go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
So I'm never going to forget. I tell this story a lot because I was so inspired about our training, and we had a student that was challenging a lot of the other students.
Did we ever?
I guess you'd say she'd kind of borderline Asperger's. Yeah. So that meant between classes, people are studying their asses off and learning this yoga stuff, and some of the high points of the day are basically meal time. Like time to eat, yay! Everyone rushes off to the food place where it's all laid out buffet style, and what shall we call her? Trixie.
Trixie, that'll do.
Is there at the buffet, very carefully placing like each little bit of toast, and then each bit of fruit has to go like next to each other in a certain way, and she's got a line of people behind her, and they're going crazy. You only got like 45 minutes for breakfast, and then you got to go back into the room for another 8 hours or whatever it is, and they're all going nuts, pulling their hair out behind her. She has no idea, right? She's just putting her food down. People are like, Trixie, take your food, get out of my way. And that's just one of the things. In the class, she's asking millions of questions that have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Worst questions.
And they're rolling their eyes. So this is the daily thing that's happening in our teacher training. And students are getting a bit frustrated.
Tommy as well.
Oh, big time.
And we had a bit of a powwow, I believe, that was kind of addressing this. That basically was saying, hey, before you start to get frustrated, angry, pointing the finger, kind of look at how you're contributing to a situation. Yeah, look at your own stuff before you, start blaming others for how you feel. Like, take a little bit of ownership of how you're feeling and see what's going on there. And the amazing thing is, Tommy, you took this to heart in such an incredible way. When you told me about you're walking on the path, like going to the yoga studio, Trixie's coming the other way, and I think you might even passed each other or something, and you stopped her and said, hey, look, maybe she even said, how's it going? Or you said, how's it going? Fine, fine. But you weren't fine. And you told her this. You said, just like seeing you, I feel this like anger rising up inside of me, and like those questions you asked in the room, and like you like taking forever at breakfast, and you let it all out, and you guys had a big laugh about it. And from that point on, she didn't affect you. No. You could laugh about it. You could even point out to her, like, hey, what are you doing? Like, quit down with the fruit. I'm hungry here. And you'd laugh about it. And you took your power back simply by being honest with how you felt. And you let her know, and it was no drama. Yeah. By contrast, you had these other girls that like couldn't be honest. They couldn't address this on themselves or with Trixie. Yeah. And as a result, they would talk about her behind her back. They were completely like under her spell. Yeah. And you were free. Yeah. For me, that was so inspirational because it really showed the power of honesty, even when it's difficult, because it's not easy to go up to someone and say, you're driving me crazy. I'm feeling all this anger. But wow, it made your life so much easier from that point on. Yeah. How much harder it would have been to not be honest and put on a smile and pretend like nothing's going on. Yeah. And then like, behind the scenes. So yeah, that was probably one of the first times in my life. Definitely, it was definitely a turning point for me, because that was one of the first times where I've gone, fuck, I just can't hold this in any longer. Like, she triggered the fuck out of me, man. Like I'd go to bed going, like, just yuck, get the fuck away from me. And it's so interesting because you end up creating what you don't want. Like, even I remember when we'd go into the yoga, the Shala or whatever, the yoga class, and I'd put my mat down. I'd be like, please don't come next to me. Please don't put your mat next to me. Please don't put your mat next to me. She fucking puts her mat like on top of my mat. I'm like, dude, get out of my life. And then remember how we did the eye gazing exercise, and we'd literally pulled names out of a hat. In my head, I'm going, don't be her, don't be her. I had to eye gaze with her for 20 minutes. I'm like, wow, God hates me. and then I just had to say, and then that moment when I did talk to her and just said exactly how I felt and was really upfront and honest about it, all that, just like you said, it just washed away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That was always a standout experience for me. Again, we talk about this idea, see it in action. Yeah. Outside the yoga space, like in the relationships that we have with people that are driving us crazy, and how simply confronting it just makes this world of difference. It was so powerful. So that was a really transformational experience for me. That was an example of you, like, really teaching me. Like, I wanted to step down and say, all right, Tommy, you take over the rest of this training.
I'm not worthy.
But that's the teaching, right? You learn so much from all your students become your teachers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that was cool.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. There's I reckon we there's just you're just one of those you're one of those people that that I guess, yeah, you're just one of those people that inspire humanity without even trying, just by living your life, you know. And I think that that's the best way to really change the world, is to live the life that you're meant to live. And you're so doing that, and it's so honorable, bro. Like, it's, you know, like, we've seen each other a number of times um, since I did my teacher training, and, you know, we've become good buddies and whatever, and we always hang out every time I go to Bali. But it's so cool just to see you, like, you know, making a shift in the world without even trying. Like, you're just doing it just by living your truth, and it's fucking so cool to see.
Oh man, I just need you back here. Do your listeners know about the yoga video you made here in Bali?
No, I might put it up with it. We're gonna do a round two. We went viral, bro. We went viral.
No, I'm not talking about that one.
Which
the
one?
one you made with the. I don't know if I should say it.
No, what did we call it? Fuck, I've forgotten the name. What do we call it?
Starts with power.
Power bottom yoga. That'll probably do
this
way.
is-
Yeah, I might have to release that one day. I think Eddie's still got all the footage, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. Oh, he chair.
It.
It's the only yoga course he does.
Oh, I love it. So good, man. Hey, Ollie, so good to hear your voice, bro.
Oh, likewise.
And yeah, man, just an honor being in your space, my brother.